Rockbeard presents 10 Unexplained Paranormal Events. Number 1. Also known as the Great Los Angeles Air Raid, this might be one of the most widely reported and still unsolved mysteries in modern history. The facts, such as they are these. From late 24th of February to early 25th of February 1942, the US military responded to an unprovoked, unidentified attack by enemy forces above the skies of California. Number 2. Humans spend so much time looking to the stars for weird and wonderful creatures, they almost forget how much there is left on Earth to surprise us. After all, 95% of the world's oceans remain unexplored by humans. Below a certain depth, the pressure is impossible to survive for us. So what kind of weird creatures are hanging out down there? Imaginations were further stoked to that topic by Bloop, a recording of a sound deep beneath the waves taken by the US National Oceanic and Atmospheric Administration, which was really low frequency and crazy powerful, unlike anything they'd ever heard before. The closest comparison was ice quakes, icebergs that fall apart underwater. Number 3. It's still up for debate exactly what the heck is going on in the Bermuda Triangle, that large stretch of ocean estimated to be between 500,000 and 1.5 million square miles between Miami, Puerto Rico, and Bermuda. But what everybody knows for sure is that a whole lot of boats, planes, and other forms of transportation that enter it never come out. Number 4. A significant amount of zombie stories, films, books, games, whatever, begin with a slowly creeping sense that something is wrong, followed by news reports of an infectious disease nobody has ever seen before, most frequently accompanied by a member of the US Center for Disease Control, talking about how they've never seen anything like it. This is happening right now. Well, sort of. The CDC have gone on record saying that they don't know whether a condition called Morgellons disease, which results in painful sores appearing all over the sufferer's body, represents a new disease, whether it's contagious, and categorized it as an unexplained dermopathy. Number 5. Current estimates, based on fossil records and the like, reckon that modern human beings have been farting about on Earth for something like 200,000 years. However, it took a long time for us to do anything intelligent with our evolution above the other apes, instead being content clubbing each other over the heads and the like. So how, then, do you explain the Dropa stones? Discs dating back 12,000 years, which are covered in tiny hieroglyph-like markings. Even more perplexing, Klerksdorp spheres, 3 billion-year-old pyrophyllite deposits, found in mines that have grooves or ridges carved around their outsides. Number 6. The US military will try all sorts of weird, esoteric Fortean means to defeat their enemies. For a while, they were attempting to synthesize a gay bomb which would make enemy armies put down their guns and start smooching each other. The CIA dosed people with LSD to try and brainwash them, and then there's a little thing called the Stargate Project. Sadly, nothing to do with the inexplicably long-running series of TV shows. The details of the Stargate Project were made famous by John Ronson's non-fiction book, The Men Who Stare at Goats, itself later adapted into a film with George Clooney, Jeff Bridges, and Kevin Spacey. A New Age hippie lot in the 70s were contracted by the US Army to look into how things like ESP and remote viewing might be integrated into warfare, including staring at goats until they died. Obviously, your common or garden soldier isn't being trained with such weapons, but their innovations in subliminal messaging were used in the Waco siege. Number 7. If you've heard of Roswell, it's either because you were a child of the 90s who didn't have particularly discerning taste when it came to television programming, or it's because you're aware of the conspiracy theory which inspired that soapy sci-fi alien love triangle mess in the first place. Almost 70 years later, its ripples are still being felt. Covered up as a crashed weather balloon, and possibly something to do with spying on Russia, there are many who still think the government's secrecy over an unidentified flying object landing unexpectedly in somebody's living room was a sign of US involvement with extraterrestrials. Area 51 being just down the road didn't help. Number 8. The haunting of room 428 may have only changed history in a very small way, but it's certainly significant. Reports of hauntings in the dormitory room at Ohio University in Athens stretch back decades, with the Wilson Hall building of residence for students as the home to a ghost who died under mysterious circumstances in the 70s. Stories since have ranged from the violent death of a young woman in the middle of an occult ritual, astral projection conducted by its occupants, along with multiple honest-to-goodness poltergeist sightings reported from multiple people, students and teachers, with objects being lifted and hurled violently through the air. Number 9. In most time travel fantasies that involve changing history, the catalyst for a butterfly effect throughout history is more often than not somebody dying. You kill Hitler, or you stop Abe Lincoln from dying, or something, and history changes. When somebody dies, you're removing a person's decisions, interactions and all from the world, which is why the poltergeist curse has had such an ineffable effect on history. For most, the poltergeist curse is simply that people keep making unnecessary sequels, and now a remake of Tobe Hooper's classic haunted house movie. Or it's being damned to hear your know-it-all friend endlessly tell you about how Steven Spielberg really directed it. Number 10. How much do you need for something to be considered an event that changed history? How about the blessing of the Roman Catholic Church? With some cajoling, the miracle of the sun was finally recognized as an actual biblical miracle on the 13th of October 1930. A good 20 years after the event itself. And it was a doozy. At around lunchtime on Sunday the 13th of October 1917, in the town of Fatima, Portugal, thousands gathered beneath storm clouds which were interrupted by an opaque, spinning disk in the sky, which then blasted a dazzling ray of light down upon the onlookers, many of whom claimed to see an apparition of the Blessed Virgin Mary in it. Thanks again for watching another amazing video, and please remember to hit the subscribe box for many more.